game plan.
Okay.
Well, that's something I can introduce Rob, a man who really needs no introduction. He's because he is a member of our club, but about once a year we call upon him as our city manager to give us an update on what's going on with the city and to know what streets we need to avoid and what construction we need to dodge and what projects are going to be out there for the city during the summer months and what else is going on with the city. So always good to hear from our city manager. He does a great job and it's a thankless job, but we're really lucky to have him leading our city. So ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mr. Rob Straebel.
Hey, thank you, Carolyn. Those are some very kind words. Appreciate it. See, can everybody see that?
Not yet.
Can you see it now?
No. I found, Rob, sometimes on this Zoom, you open the document first and then share screen.
Okay.
Try that way.
There we go.
Looks like, yeah, there we go. Now we see it.
You got it?
Yep.
Everybody can hear me fine?
Yep. And if everybody else could mute yourselves for the presentation, be great.
All right. Thanks, Andy and Carlin. So good morning, fellow Rotarians. Yes, my name is Rob Straebel. I'm the city manager with the city of Petoskey. I'm at my office on the waterfront by the marina. It's springtime in northern Michigan, a really encouraging, I think, optimistic time. Getting through a long winter of the pandemic, slowly seeing the boats come into our marina, more activity down on the waterfront is really encouraging. And I think it's going to be a great summer, and we're very optimistic moving forward. So I have a series of a few slides here, starting off with our budget overview and then going into a few projects that we have scheduled for this coming summer. And then hopefully we'll have enough time for some questions and answers at the end of my presentation. So the 2021 budget overview, it is just north of a $31 million budget. This year, which is kind of atypical, we're about $306,000 under budget. Myself and Al Terry, our treasurer, thought it would be best to be very cautious with our tax revenues moving forward in light of the pandemic and some of the challenges associated with that. But we are very optimistic moving forward. It looks like property valuations, specifically residential valuations, are going to be increasing quite a bit. I think that's no surprise to anybody in the real estate industry. There's a lot of demand for residential homes within northern Michigan and specifically within Petoskey. So we're hopeful that we're going to make up that $306,000 shortfall with certain revenues and with increases in our overall property valuations. The general fund, we have a very healthy reserve balance, which is kind of your rainy day fund, just over $4 million or 48% of our general fund expenditures. That's fantastic. That says a lot about prudent budgeting and city council making sure that we're living within our means and not spending down that rainy day fund each and every year. So that's been increasing for the last about 5 or 6 years. So that's a really healthy sign that the city is on track financially moving forward. This year, we're going to have a slight decrease in the mill levy, the local mill levy, from about 14.42 to 13.59. That's because of the Headley Amendment, whereby property valuations are increasing more than inflation, requiring us to lower the mill levy for all residential and commercial properties. Each year we budget for increases in our water, sewer, and electric utility funds. We try to do this kind of incrementally each and every year and not have one year, another year where we increase it by larger percentages. So this year it's 2.7%, 3.9% on sewer, and electric is about 0.3%. And we're anticipating just over $900,000 in grant funding. This is really a testament to City Council giving a strong directive to go for each and every grant opportunity out there, no matter how small, no matter how big, no matter how difficult it is or competitive it is. They have very much put out the marching orders that we need to leverage grant funding as much as we can. And this year we're being very successful. It looks like close to $1 million in grant funding. And this is certainly the staff, the department heads that are working hard to write these grants and to administer all the grants. City revenues, just a quick breakdown. You can see sewer, water, and electric in green, blue, and red make up the over half of our overall revenues coming into the city. Property taxes are about 21%, and others, which is like user fees on our marina, Magnus Park, other fees associated with a day camp is about 20% or so. Not unlike other municipalities within Michigan, we do have our financial challenges. One of those is Headley that I mentioned. So Headley basically allows property valuations to fall as much as the market bodes for something like that. So in 2008, 2009, when we had the housing crisis, we saw a dip of almost 20% in our property tax revenues, which is approximately about $1 million or so. On the flip side of that, the city can only make up our tax revenues from property taxes by the cost of living. So it has taken us almost 11 years to make up those monies that we lost in 2008, 2009. So it really hamstrings the cities and other municipalities within Michigan in that we can have a very precipitous fall of property valuations, but then we can only make it up by the cost of living. So it's difficult to kind of get back to where we were, but as you can see, with demand on residential development, we're moving in the right direction. So the Headley amendment either allows for property tax growth of 5% or inflation, whichever is less. We're also challenged by our pension funds, specifically the defined benefit plans, which I'm happy to report through about 4 or 5 years of negotiating with our 3 unions. We are to the point where it looks like all our new hires, that's within our public works department, within our lieutenants division of the public safety department, and the public safety officers are all going to be on a defined contribution plan with a percentage of their payroll being much less in a defined contribution plan than a defined benefit plan. We still think that's going to be a healthy sum that the city is going to contribute to a defined contribution plan. So we'll be able to recruit those high quality workers to the city. But this is really a game changer in the long run. It's going to take 20 or 30 years to pay off all the defined benefit plans at least. But as Emmett County did many, many years ago, the city is going to be in a much better position in the long run because of this. We're seeing some changes in statutory revenue being cut from the state by about $100,000 or so. Petoskey is certainly famous throughout Michigan and throughout the Midwest for our parks, our buildings, our recreational amenities, our natural resources. But all that is costly to maintain. It's an aging infrastructure that has been built in the last 20, 30, 40 years or so. We have some erosion issues along our coastlines. We have, of course, some trail issues on the Little Trevor's Wheelway. So that's all quite expensive. And we're looking at a kind of a repair assessment study moving forward that would give us a better idea of how much we have to earmark each and every year to pay for some of these maintenance issues associated with our parks, buildings, and other recreation amenities. And then, of course, the cost to mitigate the shoreline. We've had unprecedented high water levels over the last couple of years or so. They've really come down. It looks like just looking out my window at the marina and at the Bear River, I would say it's at least down a foot, if not a foot and a half, maybe 18 inches or so. So that's encouraging, but that's consistent with what we're hearing from climatologists in that climate change is going to show us more fluctuations as far as dry years and then wet years. So we're thinking we're going to see even greater differences in our water levels in the future because of some of the issues associated with climate change. This is just a quick visual of our taxable value. As I said, as I said, in 2008, we saw the dip in our taxable value because of the housing crisis. There's typically about a 2-year lag or so. So that didn't show up until 2009, 2010, 2011, but you see that 20% drop, and then slowly increasing up to 2021, where we haven't quite reached where we were back in 2009 at just over $500 million. Just a quick visual of our unfunded accrued liability. This is for the defined benefit plans. I've been working with City Council, and we've been trying to whittle this financial liability down, as you can see, the last 3 or 4 years through earmarks of $1 million each and every year from 2018 through 2021. We've been able to whittle down that unfunded accrued liability. So eventually this will go away with our transition to the defined contribution plan. 2021 projects. So Greenwood Cemetery Road is slated to be repaired, replaced with sidewalks on the west-hand side, new lighting, all new water, sewer, electric. We're fortunate that we've been working with the Little Traverse Bay Band of Ottawa Indians. They have some Bureau of Indian Affairs dollars to the tune of about $350,000 that they're going to chip in towards this project. So we anticipate that this is going to be moving forward sometime in mid to late July. It's probably going to be about a 6-week, 8-week project or so with detours around it. Total cost is $1.4 million, and that includes the water and sewer and undergrounding of any electric through that area. Also, we just started some work on West Jefferson. We had some sewer problems on West Jefferson, and we just put in a new 10-inch sewer line through that area and then repaved half of the road. That is just a leveling asphalt application. So that's the first of 2 asphalt applications that we'll see. And then sometime in July, we'll come through and put on another 2-inch overlay. So that will be a brand new street with utilities underneath it. So that's certainly a good thing. Also have, we've been working with the college, and many thanks to Dr. Finley for his efforts on constructing a bridge over the Bear River, connecting the River Road Sports Complex with the NCMC Natural Trail. It's part of the Iron Bell statewide trail system. And we were fortunate to get some funds from the trust fund on that project, but certainly this further enhances the city as being a trail town. You know, walkability is just huge in this community, and I think that's why we all kind of live here, because of the natural resources and great amenities. So the project should be wrapped up by 4th of July, and we had some assistance from the North Country Trail Association and the local Jordan 45 chapter that have done some great work and kind of clearing out some of the areas. So it's the bridge is actually being manufactured right now. This is just an example of what it will look like. It's a steel bridge with some wood on the side of it. So it should be a great amenity connecting River Road Sports Complex with the nature trail at the college. So as everybody knows, we've had a lot of issues with the Little Traverse Wheelway. This is a couple photos of the slope failure area. It just really, really disturbs me to look at this. I'm a huge biker. I love to bike. This is probably one of the most scenic trails in northern Michigan. And because of the high water, kind of lapping at the toe of the slope and eroding the toe of the slope, we've had these huge failure issues starting in late 2019 and then continuing through 2020. And we're also seeing more and more sloughing off of this slope through this area. There's 2 isolated examples of this on the screen right now, but we're seeing whole swaths of the slope area kind of caving away. Unfortunately, I estimated at least 700 to 800 feet of this area is eroding. And we just don't think that it's prudent to look at this area to repair it and put it back to where it was. We just don't know where the high water mark is going. We also think that state agencies are going to be hesitant to invest in any grant dollars for this trail because of its proximity to the water line. It seems like all efforts from the state are to move amenities away from the erosion areas, the erosion prone areas. So it really saddens me to see this, but you know, maybe sometime in the future we could look at this, and depending on where the water levels are. But our number one priority right now is to construct a trail up on the highway, on the south side of the highway, basically from East Park into the city of Petoskey, right there at Jackson Avenue by the hospital. As you turn into the hospital campus, you can then connect down into Magnus Park and then get back on the Little Traverse Wheelway. We've had a great working partnership with Emmett County, Resort Township, and the city of Petoskey, and also MDOT on this project. And just last night, Emmett County approved participating in what the next phase of planning and design on the trail on the highway is going to be, which is the schematic drawing. So we're keeping this partnership moving forward. We really need the schematic drawings to better flesh out the design. We're looking at a possible tunnel out by East Park for a crossing underneath the highway instead of over the highway for safety reasons. So we'd be better to, we'd flesh out the overall design cost and the estimated design costs, and then the design parameters of this project. And then that would allow us to have enough information to hustle some grants moving forward. So this is kind of an overall photo of the slope failure areas. To the left of the screen, you see East Park. To the right, you see Magnus Park. The highlighted area in red is one of the disturbed areas. So it's approximately, I would say, about 1.5 miles, 2 mile long stretch of this area. So this is something that we're focusing on, but we're moving the trail up on the highway as a detour around this damaged area. There you can see just a very general plan as far as the trail crossings and the trail on the south side, which is in the orange. Crossing right there by East Park, just east of East Park. Once again, the three entities, Resort Township, City of Petoskey, and Emmett County, all thought that there would be a safety issue, and I tend to agree. Speeds are pretty fast through there, being a major highway. So we're going to be looking at a tunnel underneath that area, and then closer you get to in town to Jackson Avenue, we'll be working with MDOT for either like a pedestrian signalization and or a full-fledged signalization at Jackson Street to allow people to cross safely once you get into town. We go through a action goal session just about every year, and City Council came up with 7 basic goals or strategies for 2021. That is a sustainable city budget, looking at our capital needs assessment, transitioning to the defined contribution plans and balanced budgets, plan for new infrastructure as well as maintain current amenities. That's always a challenge, but I think it's something that's certainly staff through our capital improvement plan keeps up with each and every year. We want to diversify and strengthen our city economic base through what's called the Redevelopment Ready Communities Program, RRC program, identifying 4 or 5 areas to focus economic development on and identifying any possible economic development incentives for those sites. Downtown parking structure has been talked about for the last probably 20 or 30 years. We started initial conversations with the county regarding a joint venture to look at a parking platform, basically a 1-story parking platform at Lake and Division Streets. We're still in discussions with the county on that project, but not quite sure if the county's going to have the funding to pay their share of that project. We're advocating for a local circular economy through recycling, reusing, and repairing. Regenerate natural systems by returning valuable nutrients to soils and improving air and water quality. This is something that Councilmember Brian Wagner brought up. It's a really interesting concept, and we learned a lot about this moving forward, and we're kind of taking incremental steps to work towards more of a circular economy, working with Emmett County Recycling and other agencies to see what we can do to create this circular economy for the community. Certainly, affordable housing, workforce housing is a huge issue. The city's really diving into this with no hesitation whatsoever, working with a planning commission to see if there are any impediments to workforce housing, affordable housing, looking at density changes possibly. We do have what's called a form-based zoning, which basically would allow for, say, a duplex in what would be traditionally a single family neighborhood. Because it's form-based, it could very much look like a single family home. So we think that small changes in our regulations might be able to promote more workforce and affordable housing. We're also looking at donating or taking market value for any obsolete city properties for affordable housing, possibly restricting the deeds on something like that to the cost of living allowance each and every year. That would be one thing that we could do to assist in the affordable workforce housing. Accessory dwelling units, ADUs, are a topic of discussion both with Planning Commission and City Council. So it's going to take, an all of the above approach on this. And there's not one silver bullet. There's not one panacea. It's all about making small changes and working with our organizations, Housing North, other housing organizations, Chamber of Commerce, all the above really to really address what is a very difficult and sometimes controversial issue of how do you promote affordable housing when demand for housing in our community is so great. We're looking at exploring a regional transit authority with Emmett County. We're also promoting sustainability measures and trying to transition to renewable energy sources by 2035. We're just finishing up a solar project on City Hall, on the 3rd floor of City Hall. And we think that once this is completed, once it's all connected, that we can produce anywhere from 70 to maybe 80% of our electrical needs within City Hall, which is pretty cool stuff. We got some photos that I'll show you later. And then a return on investment, I think of probably 12 to 14 years, depending on the output of the solar panels on City Hall. So we did this as kind of a demonstration project to the community that the cost of solar is going down so quickly that it makes sense not only from an environmental standpoint to reduce your overall carbon footprint, but from an economic standpoint, from a money standpoint, we can wisely use tax dollars and benefit both the environment and save city taxpayers some monies. We're also looking at a large-scale solar project, working with the communities of Harbor Springs, Charlevoix, Traverse City, and identifying a fairly large utility-sized solar project that would help us achieve 100% renewables. We've had great success in energy conservation on city buildings. Just here in City Hall, we're saving about 25% of our energy consumption just through simple measures such as LEDs, motion detectors, insulation on windows, insulating blinds, things of that sort. So it's pretty encouraging. With a little effort, you can really save a lot of money. We also have a program, the Voluntary Green Pricing Program, that allows businesses and consumers or residents to purchase 100% renewable, up to 100% renewable energy from other sources. So that's something, if you're really keen on making a change on our carbon footprint and making an effort to reduce our consumption, that's something you can sign up for. As I said, 100% renewable by 2035. This is a city council initiative. So we're moving along. We work with the Michigan Public Power Agency. They're a consortium of about 18 small municipalities throughout Michigan. And we're happy to report that we're at 22.7% and well ahead of our schedule to transition to 100% renewable energies. So the efforts are to transition, once again, to reduce our carbon footprint on the environment. And certainly we can be a leader, we think, on these efforts within the city of Charlevoix, or Petoskey, excuse me. Their City Hall Solar, it was approximately $120,000 project, produces 82,000 kilowatt hours. And we would save about $9,100 per year on this and pay off of roughly 12 to 13 years. So pretty exciting stuff. Got a couple photos here of the panels up on City Hall. So this is in the front of City Hall, looking over the Bear River, just to the south there. More solar panels. Basically all surfaces on the roof have solar panels on them. Beautiful day and overlooking the Little Traverse Wheelway. And then lastly, it looks like I'm going to get cut off at 8:15, but here's the voluntary green pricing program. You can go to our website if you'd like to sign up. It's a great program. I highly encourage anybody that's interested to sign up for that. That is it. I don't know if there's any questions or any time for any questions. So thank you for your time and listening to me.
Thank you, Rob. I think we have, if you guys want to stick around, we have time for a couple questions if anybody has. That was a great presentation.
Yes.
Rob, you can stop sharing for this portion if you would.
All right, thanks, Amy.
Sorry, I was not muted, everyone.
And then Rob, the last thing you could do is just push stop recording since you're the host.
Okay.
So Rob, that solar panel program, that's for any individuals too?
Any city residents, yep. Or businesses. We've got a few businesses that are signing up also.
And what is the cost savings on that, would you say?
So roughly, it's about 10% increase per month. My wife and I have a single family home and we're seeing increases roughly $5 to $7 per month at the 100% rate.
I thought the price would be through the roof.
It's $5 to $7 a month. What's the startup cost there?
There are no startup costs. That's
Oh.
just the additional cost of the renewable energy that you'd be paying for.
No, I mean to get the panels themselves. So the program is to help you get the solar panels, of course, right?
No, the program is actually to purchase energy from renewable sources that are created
Oh.
on large solar array panels or wind turbines or other things of that sort. So not to install solar panels on your home or on your business, but to purchase energy from renewable sources.
Oh, I see. So Carlin, can we get that information in the notes? How to participate, that one slide that he put up?